Let me tell you something. That night, Uyo was not normal at all. Rain was beating like it wanted to punish the earth. And somewhere on that lonely highway, a black SUV was just flying, like the driver was running from death itself. Inside that car was Victor James. Victor James, big man, real estate boss, man of power. But that night,
who are you? Why are you
power
following me?
meant nothing. He was bleeding, breathing like someone who had only minutes left. And in his hand, he was holding something very important. A sealed envelope. Not money, not land documents. Something worse. Something deeper. His hand was shaking like leaf in harmattan. And then he looked at it. Inside that envelope was written something very simple, but very dangerous. Do not trust Grace Williams. As he saw it, his eyes changed. Like something in his head just clicked. He whispered, very low, "She cannot know." Hey, before anybody could understand what that meant, boom, silence. Victor fainted. And just like that, the envelope disappeared.
Hurry up, let us check the
before
wreckage.
police
Okay,
even arrived.
look at that smoke.
This life, Sha. The sun rose brilliantly over Uyo. For months, the city had talked about only one thing: the Horizon Homes project. 10,000 affordable housing units. New roads, streetlights, schools, markets. An entire community built from scratch. Many people called it the most ambitious housing project in southern Nigeria. Today was the grand opening. Television stations arrived before sunrise. Journalists moved from one corner of the massive estate to another. Drone cameras hovered in the sky. Security officers stood at every gate. The atmosphere felt more like a national celebration than a business event. At the center of it all stood Grace Williams. At 38, she had become one of the most respected architects in Nigeria. 5 years earlier, nobody knew her name. Today, governors knew her. Investors respected her. Young professionals admired her. And thousands of families saw her as a symbol of hope. As she stepped onto the red carpet, camera flashes exploded around her. "Madam Grace, look this way. One more picture." She smiled. Confident, elegant, successful. Yet beneath her smile was exhaustion. She had not slept properly in days. This project meant everything to her. Everything. The crowd erupted as she climbed the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the woman behind this historic achievement. Applause rises. Grace stepped forward. For a moment, she simply looked at the sea of faces. She swallowed emotionally. This was the dream. She took a deep breath. Thank you. The crowd applauded again. When I was 12 years old, she continues.
Thank you. When I was 12 years old, my mother and I lived in a one-room apartment. I promised myself that one day I would help ordinary Nigerians own decent homes.
The audience rose to its feet. Standing ovation. Grace smiled. But as she looked toward the VIP section, something bothered her. One chair was empty. Victor's chair. She frowned. Victor never arrived late. Never. Not for anything important. Not even once. Behind the stage, Daniel Scott adjusted his suit. Unlike Grace, Daniel loved attention. His smile could light up a room. A former teacher turned motivational speaker, he had become one of the most recognizable public figures in Nigeria. People listened whenever he spoke.
He noticed Grace approaching. You should be celebrating. Grace forced a smile. Where's Victor? Daniel shrugged. No idea. You've called him? 5 times. No answer? No answer.
Grace glanced at her wristwatch. That wasn't like Victor. Victor was the most disciplined among them, the most predictable, the most reliable. Daniel laughed. Maybe he finally found a woman. Grace rolled her eyes. Victor? Impossible. They both laughed. But the laughter faded quickly. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. 30 minutes earlier, along the Uyo-Ikotekpene highway, Victor James drove alone. The road stretched endlessly before him. Rain clouds gathered overhead. His phone buzzed again. He ignored it. His hands gripped the steering wheel tightly. The sealed envelope lay on the passenger seat. He glanced at it repeatedly, as if it were a bomb. Inside the envelope was information powerful enough to destroy lives. Information he had hidden for years. His breathing became heavier. The phone rang again. This time, an unknown number. Victor answered. Silence. Then, a voice. Cold. Calm. Dangerous. You should have destroyed it. Victor's face froze. His heartbeat accelerated. What do you want?
We warned you. Victor looked into his rearview mirror. A black SUV appeared behind him, following closely.
Who are you? Why are you
Too
following me?
closely. The voice continued. You had one job. Victor swallowed. You don't understand. No. The voice laughed softly. You are the one who doesn't understand. The call disconnected. Victor stared at the mirror. The SUV accelerated. Back at Horizon Homes, Daniel walked onto the stage. The audience cheered wildly. Daniel smiled confidently. Success is not about where you start. The crowd listened. It's about where you decide to go. Applause. 5 years ago, 3 friends sat around a plastic table with nothing but a dream. Laughter. We had no powerful connections. True, Grace shouted jokingly. The audience laughed. Daniel continued. We only had faith. More applause. But today we stand as proof that determination can change destinies. The crowd erupted again. Yet, even while speaking, Daniel noticed Grace repeatedly checking her phone. Still no message from Victor. Rain exploded across the highway. Victor accelerated. The SUV accelerated too. His hands trembled. The envelope slid across the passenger seat. Victor grabbed it. The vehicle behind him moved closer. Then closer. Then bam! The SUV hit his car. Victor lost control. The steering wheel spun violently. The world became chaos. Screeching tires, breaking glass, metal twisting. The car slammed into a roadside barrier. Everything went black. Silence. The celebration continued. Music played. Champagne flowed. Investors networked. Suddenly, Daniel's phone rang. An unknown number. He answered casually. Seconds later, his face changed. The smile disappeared. His eyes widened. Grace noticed immediately. What happened? Daniel couldn't speak. The color drained from his face. Daniel couldn't speak. Still silence. Daniel! Finally he whispered. It's Victor. Grace froze. What about Victor? There was an accident. The world seemed to stop. The music suddenly felt distant. The laughter vanished. Everything blurred.
What kind of accident? Daniel looked at her. His voice shook. Bad. 2 hours later, University Teaching Hospital.
Doctors rushed through corridors. Machines beeped continuously. Rain battered the windows. Grace and Daniel sat outside the intensive care unit.
Neither spoke. The silence felt unbearable. A doctor emerged. Family? Grace stood instantly. How is he? He's alive. Relief. Brief relief. But his condition remains critical. The doctor disappeared. Hours passed. Midnight arrived. Then something unexpected happened. Victor's heart the monitor changed rhythm. His fingers moved. His eyes opened slightly. A nurse rushed for help. Doctor! Grace and Daniel entered. Victor looked pale, weak, barely conscious. His lips moved. Grace leaned closer. Victor. His eyes found hers. Fear filled them. Raw fear. Not pain. Fear. As though he had seen something terrible. Victor. Grace whispered. What happened? His lips trembled. A single sentence escaped. She cannot know. Grace frowned. Who? Victor tried to speak again, but suddenly his eyes rolled back. The monitor accelerated. Doctors rushed forward. Everybody out. Grace and Daniel were pushed into the corridor. The door slammed shut. Neither moved. Neither spoke. Who was she? And what must she never know? At exactly 1:17 a.m., across town, Victor's apartment stood in darkness. The security guard slept in his chair. A shadow emerged from behind the building, dressed completely in black, face hidden. Gloves, cap, no identifiable features. The figure moved expertly, purposefully, like someone who had done this before. Within seconds, the apartment door opened. No alarm. No noise. The intruder entered. Straight to Victor's study. No hesitation. No searching. Whoever this person was knew exactly what they wanted. The drawer opened. Files disappeared into a black bag. One folder. Then another. Then another. Property records. Photographs. Old newspaper clippings.
handwritten note. The intruder collected everything.
Then noticed something. A photograph. 3 children standing beside a burned building.
The figure stared at it briefly, almost emotionally, then took that too. Suddenly, a sound. Footsteps outside. The intruder froze. A neighbor approached the corridor. The figure remained perfectly still, holding breath, waiting. The footsteps passed. Silence returned. Moments later, the intruder vanished into the night. No fingerprints. No witnesses. No evidence. Only an empty apartment and a mystery that had just begun. As rain continued falling over Oyo, 3 questions silently emerged. Who was following Victor? Who stole the files? And what secret was so dangerous that a dying man feared Grace must never discover it?
The morning after, the rain had stopped, but the tension it brought remained. The sun rose slowly over Oyo, casting long shadows across the city. Inside the intensive care unit, machines continued their endless rhythm. Beep, beep, beep. Victor James remained unconscious. His face was pale. Bandages covered part of his forehead. The doctors still couldn't explain why he woke up only long enough to utter one strange sentence. She cannot know. Grace had not slept. Neither had Daniel. The mystery haunted them. Who was she? And what secret had Victor been trying so desperately to protect? Grace sat beside Victor's bed, looking at him, studying him, searching for answers in a face she had known for nearly 15 years. But all she found were more questions. Suddenly, her phone rang. It was the police.
I'm coming.
Miss Williams? Yes? We need to ask some questions about Mr. James. Grace stood immediately. I'm coming. An hour later,
We need forensics at the main
Grace stood outside Victor's apartment building. Police officers moved in and out. The security guard looked terrified. A detective approached her. Miss Williams? Yes? I'm Inspector Ibrahim. What happened? The inspector sighed. Someone broke into Mr. James's apartment last night. Grace froze. What? We believe it happened shortly after his accident. Her heartbeat accelerated. What was stolen? The inspector looked uncomfortable. We don't know. Grace frowned. How can you not know? There are no signs of a struggle. No fingerprints. No damaged locks. The intruder knew exactly where to go. A chill traveled through her body. This wasn't ordinary theft. Someone had been looking for something specific. Something important. Something connected to Victor. Victor's office was located on the top floor of Horizon Homes headquarters. The moment Grace entered, she felt uneasy. The room was unusually organized. Victor was naturally meticulous. Every file had its place. Every document had its label. But today, something felt wrong. Subtly wrong. A chair was slightly moved. A drawer was half open. A bookshelf looked disturbed. The office had been searched. Not by police. By someone looking for answers. The same answers Grace needed. Daniel entered behind her. You think whatever was stolen is connected to the accident? Connected to the accident? Grace nodded. I don't believe in coincidences. Daniel looked around. You think Victor was hiding something from us? Grace didn't answer immediately. Instead, she walked toward Victor's desk. Slowly. Carefully. Then she opened the bottom drawer. Empty. The next one? Empty. The third drawer? Nothing. Daniel folded his arms. Maybe the thief already took everything. Grace wasn't convinced. Victor always prepared for worst-case scenarios. If he was hiding something important, there had to be a backup. There always was. Hours passed. Employees came and went. Investigators searched. Nothing. By evening, Daniel was exhausted. This is pointless. Grace remained determined. No. Victor left something. How do you know? She looked around the office. Then her eyes stopped. On the bookshelf. One section seemed cleaner than the others. She walked toward it. Touched the wood. Knocked gently. Solid. Then, knock. Hollow. Grace's eyes widened. Daniel! What? Come here. Daniel approached. Grace pressed against the panel. Nothing happened. Then she noticed a tiny metal latch hidden beneath a shelf. Click. The wooden panel slid open. A secret compartment. Daniel's mouth fell open. No way! Inside sat a single brown envelope. Dust covered its surface, meaning it had been there for years. Grace picked it up carefully. Her hands trembled. What is it? I don't know. Slowly, she opened it. Inside was a photograph. Only one photograph. Nothing else. The image was old. very old. The edges had faded. The colors were almost gone. 3 children stood together in front of a small village house. A boy, a girl, another boy. They appeared happy, smiling, carefree, the type of smile only children possess. But the background told a different story. Behind them stood a burned building, blackened walls, destroyed roof, smoke stains, the remains of a fire. Daniel frowned. What village is this? Grace shook her head. I've never seen it before. Then she noticed something strange. One of the children's faces had been violently scratched out. Not faded, not damaged naturally, scratched deliberately, as though someone wanted that person erased. Daniel leaned closer. That's creepy. Grace turned the photograph over. The moment she did, her entire body stiffened. Written in faded ink were 6 words. The fire was not an accident. Silence. Neither spoke. Neither moved. The words seemed to grow heavier every second. Daniel finally broke the silence. What fire? Grace stared at the photograph. I don't know. What village? I don't know. Who are these children? I don't know. Daniel looked at her. For the first time, he saw fear in her eyes. Real fear. Victor had never spoken about any village, any fire, any childhood tragedy. Nothing. It was as though an entirely different life existed before the Victor they knew. And now, that hidden life was beginning to surface. That evening, someone stood across the street from Horizon Homes headquarters, watching, waiting. A black cap hid most of his face. Dark glasses concealed his eyes. In his hand was a phone. On the screen was a photograph. Grace, leaving the building, holding the old photograph. The stranger smiled, then made a call. A voice answered. Did she find it? Yes. Silence. Then the voice asked, what did she see? The photograph. Another pause. Longer this time. The voice became colder. Then we are running out of time. The call ended. The stranger continued watching Grace disappear into traffic. Night settled over the city. Grace finally arrived home. Exhausted, mentally drained. She placed the photograph on her dining table. The scratched face seemed to stare at her. The burned house, the strange message, the missing files, Victor's accident. Nothing made sense.
She prepared coffee, determined to study the picture further. Then her phone vibrated. A text message. Unknown number. She opened it. The message contained only 5 words. Stop searching or someone dies. Her blood ran cold. She read it again and again. The message felt unreal, like something from a movie. Yet here it was, on her screen. Real, personal, threatening. She immediately deleted it, then laughed nervously. Some idiot trying to scare me. But even as she said it, she didn't believe herself. The timing was too perfect. Someone knew she had found the photograph. Someone was watching. Scene 8, the second message. 10 minutes later, her phone vibrated again. Another message.
Same unknown number. Grace frowned, opened it. The moment she saw the image, her coffee cup slipped from her hand. Crash! Coffee spilled across the floor. Her breathing stopped. The photograph attached to the message was recent. Very recent. Taken earlier that day. Her mother, Ruth Williams, standing outside a pharmacy. Completely unaware she was being photographed. The picture had clearly been taken secretly, from a distance. Like surveillance. Beneath the image were 6 terrifying words.
Your mother is easier to find. Grace felt the room spinning. Fear exploded inside her chest. This wasn't a prank. This wasn't random. Someone was watching her. Watching her family. Watching everything. And whoever sent the message knew exactly how to hurt her. Her hands shook as she immediately called her mother. The phone rang. Once. Twice. 3 times. No answer. Her panic intensified. She called again. Still nothing. A 3rd time. No answer. Suddenly, every second felt dangerous. Every minute felt deadly. Grace grabbed her keys, ran outside, jumped into her car. The engine roared to life. As she sped through the streets of Uyo, her mind raced. Who sent the message? Who took the photograph? Why was her mother involved? And what did any of this have to do with Victor? Traffic lights blurred. Street lights flashed past. Her phone rang. It was Daniel. Grace? She sounded breathless. Someone's watching us. What? They sent me a picture. What picture? My mother. Silence. Then Daniel whispered, "Oh God, what do we do?" Daniel's voice became serious. "Get to your mother first. Then call me." Grace pressed harder on the accelerator. The road stretched endlessly before her. Unknown to her, a black SUV emerged from a nearby street and began following her. 20 minutes later, Grace arrived at her mother's house. The gate was open. Her heart
stopped. The gate was never left open. Never. Slowly, she stepped out of the car. The compound was silent. No television, no radio, no movement. Only darkness. Mom? No answer. She entered the house. The front door creaked open. The living room was empty. A chair had been knocked over. Grace's pulse thundered. Mom! Still nothing.
Then she noticed something. An envelope placed carefully on the dining table, addressed to her. Only her. Her hands trembled as she picked it up. Inside was another photograph. The same 3 children. The same burned house. But this time, there was a message written beneath it. You are closer to the truth than Victor ever was. Suddenly, a loud sound came from the back of the house. Thud! Grace spun around, frozen. Someone else was inside.
Subscribe for more. Like and comment. Share with your friends. Thank you for